Okay, well, thank you all for joining tonight. And it's interesting, we're talking about the color of my blouse. And everybody's projecting their own story onto what the color represents. And, that's really actually interesting because that's exactly how our mind works, especially the ego. It has an experience, and then everything that it sees going forward, it projects that past experience onto that particular event. And we can be mindful of that, and to recognize that we have those two voices in our mind. We have the ego, and it knows everything. And as the course teaches us, there's no amount of evidence that will convince us of what we do not want to know. And in that respect, it's referring to the ego. Now, you could just have all the truth and all the facts in the world and present them, but if the ego doesn't want to receive the truth of that, it doesn't matter, it will reject it. And so our ego tells us we know everything, we know the truth, we know the answers, and we don't need to further apply our awareness to anything else. And so that keeps us locked into the position that we're in, and that creates separation in relationships. Whereas the voice of the Holy Spirit is the one that does embrace truth and does come from love and doesn't judge, and just says, that's a pretty color of blue, or that's a color blue. It doesn't even have to be pretty, it's just blue. You could say it makes me feel good, or it reminds me of something else. And to be able to use that current experience to explore the things of the past, uh, in terms of whether they need to be healed or whether they are positive experiences. And your associations that all of you expressed were positive experiences with that color. But our ego will take any type of situation to create a conflict out of it. And that's what the ego feeds on. That's how it covers up our fear, because it wants us to feel angry or makes us feel guilty. In either case, it's covering up that underlying fear. A lot of us think that we're supposed to be perfect and that we're not supposed to have these antagonists in our life. And I have the great joy of having them in my life. And, it helps, as you all were saying earlier, you can use your experiences to help other people. And one of the things that, when there's a theme going on, it seems like people I work with will have a similar theme. And someone will say, I try so hard to be a good person, or I'm really working a program, or how come, this person just won't, come at a place from peace? Why are they always criticizing me? Why are they always bringing up the past? Why won't they just let love be? And the reason is that we all have these antagonists in our life. You may be the protagonist for A Course in Miracles. You may be the protagonist for love. You may be the hero in the story, but you're always going to have an adversary there. This is what every story has this, and your story does too. And so we need to be careful that we don't get pulled into that story of the antagonist, and that we hold true to our own truth, and that we stay centered on love, and that we stay centered and committed to love rather than guilt and anger, because it's the job of the antagonist to pull us into that negativity, to activate our ego, to take away the peace, to take away the joy. It's like that little thing we were looking at the other day, that quote by Denzel Washington, that sometimes people, their demons are just troubled by the love that you're offering. I'm not quoting it correctly, but they're just uncomfortable with who you are, because you're coming from the place of love. So do you want to be pulled into that of the demons, or do you want to stay elevated in the place of the Holy Spirit and the place of love? Because when you, and that's the challenge, and it's like we were reading last week, like hover around, and rather than go down into the battlefield. But the battlefield is in our own mind. And so sometimes, it's very difficult. And I'm here to tell you, I get pulled down a lot. But the key here is that that's a tennis ball coming at you faster and faster so that you get better and better at it. And so the more spiritually evolved that you become, the more antagonists will show up, or the more the antagonists in your life will show up. And that can come in so many forms, but it's almost like there's that constant probing and pushing and opportunity for you to be able, like Barbie was sharing earlier, to be able to shift the perception of what you don't like about that person, or even when you're under direct attack by someone, whether it's true or not, to be able to just stay in that place of truth and to honor your truth and to speak your truth and not get into the ego's battlefield about it. So there's the distinction, that we can be a voice for love, which is truth, because there isn't anything else, or we can be a voice for the conflict. And that's, whether it's the Course says it doesn't matter if it's a minor dispute or a major war, it's all the same. It doesn't matter if you're mildly annoyed or you're outraged. There's no such thing as a degree of these emotions. So we are always going to have that challenge. There will always be that voice of two voices, and you have to decide which one you're going to listen to. One of the things that I was reading recently on the Course, the ego analyzes, the spirit accepts. So the ego always wants to dissect everything piece by piece by piece. And in our relationships, the ego wants to get hung up. I see this a lot when I'm doing counseling with family, or even in my own relationships. Rather than staying with the whole flow of love, people will bring up the past, or they'll dissect things to the point that, it takes the essence of the love out of the situation. What did you mean when you said that? And what did you mean when you did that? Or I know what you were thinking by the way you looked at me. This is like analyzing and analyzing and analyzing. Could take a really positive situation and bring it into a disaster. Or you think that you're having a nice, warm conversation with someone, and then out of the blue that they're attacking you or bringing something up, or just being unkind and unloving. And so this is why the ego is like constantly filtering and analyzing, and just won't allow love to be. It will build one block after another barrier, after another wall, with fires and stones and lightning and anything it can to keep love out. Because when the ego feels love can get through, it throws up those barriers even higher and stronger. And analyzing things is the clearest, or the most cunning way to bring up the barriers, rather than to just let love be, and to be able to be committed in a relationship to love and nothing else. This doesn't mean that we're not truthful with one another. Of course we are. And of course, if someone asks you, to have a conversation, or asks you for how you feel about something, of course you want to be able to answer that honestly and safely. And that's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the ego, because the ego doesn't want you to do that either. The ego doesn't want you to really be able to talk about things so that you can have a better understanding and that you can heal wounds or conflicts. The ego wants you to continue with the story of how it perceives the situation. And it will analyze something and analyze something and analyze something. Even when someone is offering peace, even when someone is offering love, even when someone is saying, let's heal that, the ego will want to analyze, well, you just want to do that because you're trying to get something out of me. Or you this isn't really accurate what you're saying here, because you didn't dot your T, or this isn't really how you feel. I know how you really feel. And so the ego will take something and just keep going over it and over and over in the mind. Those of us that have had who have been attacked, if you're obsessing over and over and over again about that attack, your ego has a hold of you, and it's not allowing you to come to some type of resolution or some type of peace. So it will just keep analyzing. You should have said this, you should have that, and da 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 da, and why did they do that, da, da, rather than just getting to the core of why you're troubled. The Course says, I see only the past. The ego won't want you to go to the core of why something's bothering you. It will want to constantly analyze what happened and go over it and over it and over it and over it. And it's really just drilling you deeper. And it's like it's using your mind and your body as a drill to go deeper and deeper into hell. All you have to do is ask the Holy Spirit to help you get out of it. And how can you resolve this issue? How can you solve this problem? And the answers will come. But when we're in that moment of passion and drama and trauma, it's very difficult for us to do that. But that's what the Course in Miracles is providing us. And that's what the Course in Miracles is about. And so that leads me to the next thing about the Course in Miracles, that only what you have not given can lack in any situation. So let's just take the example of where you have been troubled, by someone and the way that they're treating you. How would you apply only what you have not given can lack in any situation? So if someone is attacking you, how can you use only what you have not given can lack in any situation? Because if you're allowing someone to attack you and you're not offering love, and love means to have the courage to face the situation that's going on and to be vulnerable in that situation. We don't want to be vulnerable when we're under attack because it hurt. We're hurt and and the ego says, don't show your feelings, put your wall up, don't let someone see how you actually are being hurt by them. Now, this makes no sense at all if you think about it, because if you don't reveal your real self to someone, they don't know who you are, and they're going to continue to attack you. But when you find the voice in love with you, if you don't give yourself respect, if you're lacking self-respect, that's going to show up in how other people respond to you. If you're showing yourself a lack of love and tolerating being treated in a loveless manner, that's what you're affirming. So the Course is often misinterpreted that if we are spiritual, we take the high road, we hover around up here, and we just are above it all. But in reality, when we're in relationships, we can't just hover around all the time, because sometimes, just like you can enjoy every single day of peace, but when the hurricane's coming, you have to prepare for it and you have to do something about it. You can't just sit there and go, God's going to protect me. So we are given the tools through the Holy Spirit to protect ourselves. And so when we have antagonists in our life, to perceive them as teachers and to use these situations as an opportunity to love. And love, as I've said so many times, is an action word. It's not tolerating things that aren't acceptable. It's not being okay with being treated in an unkind manner. That is never love. But when we are being treated in an unkind manner, if we do that to ourselves by tolerating it, then we are demonstrating the lack of love in that relationship. And so in those situations, even if we feel sad, even if we show our deepest pain to the person, we are being vulnerable, and we ask the Holy Spirit to give us the words to help us to fully embrace that experience in the moment and to heal whatever wounds are coming up. And I assure you, whenever you feel hurt that deeply, it is anchored in something in the past. Perhaps if you're being accused of something you didn't do, then that usually has a root in your childhood, where you were accused of things you didn't do. Maybe you were accused of lying when you weren't lying. Maybe you were accused of stealing when you weren't stealing. Maybe you were accused of not being cooperative when you felt like you were, whatever the case may be. So these things don't happen by accident, and we can use the voice of the Holy Spirit to heal not only our own past, but the current relationship as well. That doesn't mean that the relationship will heal, because it's not the objective of the Holy Spirit to heal a relationship that doesn't want to be healed. The objective of the Holy Spirit is for love to find itself. And if one person is committed to healing and love, and the other person is committed to the ego, which is to prevent healing and love, love is not going to force itself through those barriers. But what you can do in those situations is consistently and 100% come from that place of love. But that means self-love and not just thinking of loving the other person. So self-love means that you stand in your truth, you speak your truth, you do it with kindness, you do it with love, and you do it with the abundance that there is no lack. You don't come from the place of fear. If I say how I really feel, then this bad thing might happen, or this person won't talk to me anymore, or we'll get into a fight, or whatever the ego is telling you to prevent you from the invitation of love and healing. What you do is you ask the Holy Spirit, and then you listen to what the Holy Spirit says to you. And sometimes the Holy Spirit may tell you silence is golden because there's too much chemicals going through one or both people for it to make any type of progress in terms of healing. But sometimes it will say something in your mind. And if you speak that, if you say something like, this doesn't feel loving to me, and I don't like being told that, can we talk to each other in a kind way? Can we sit down and solve this problem? You know, if you can practice doing that, eventually you can do that automatically. I mean, it's only natural that sparks are going to go off sometimes, but it's okay as long as you use those sparks to build a love fire, not a bonfire. So you want to be able to get comfortable enough that you feel safe enough with your Holy Spirit, that you trust that voice and that you listen to it, and you insist upon love in a relationship, and you will not go into the battlefield. And that means sometimes saying, I'm not going there with you. If we can't talk, if we can't approach this in a loving way, if we can't be vulnerable and say how we feel here in this situation, and we can't talk about how we're triggering one another, and we can't do it better, then that would be the words of love that you're committing to. And you can then say, if we can't do that, then I can't go down there with you. Because when I'm talked to in this way, or I'm treated this way, or when I'm attacked this way, or when I'm constantly accused of something I didn't do, that is not productive for our relationship, because it's not true. It's not where I'm coming from. I want to hear how you feel. I definitely care about what you have to say, but we have to be able to talk to each other, that just because I feel this way doesn't necessarily make it true. And we have to be able to talk this way without attacking each other. And so if we do attack each other, we're committed to cleaning it up and talking about it and making amends and coming from love. But you can get to the point that you don't need to attack each other at all, because you can simply ask the Holy Spirit to give you the words. And then when you speak from that voice of love. And your intention is to do no harm. Your intention is to create more love and a better sense of trust and a better sense of oneness, because the Course is teaching us that's who we are. And all the separation is the illusion that we're alone, exactly where the ego wants us. And that's when the ego says, you know, I hate you. What am I doing with you? How come I'm friends with you? How come I'm married to you? How come whatever. How come you're my relative? And it's going to keep us in that state of mind if we don't learn how to use the Holy Spirit to help us to go through those conflicts. But again, not everybody wants to do that, and you can't make them want that. You cannot. That is not our job, to make someone want to have a loving relationship. And so if you have people in your life who refuse to come from that place and don't want to be in that place, or can't be in that place for whatever reason, it is okay to detach from that situation, and because love will find itself. And you can either be disempowered by your antagonist, or you can be empowered by your antagonist. The choice is yours. You choose fear and keep trying to try harder and do better and do more to change someone who doesn't want to be changed, or you can use the voice of love to strengthen your own core, to build your own relationship with your Holy Spirit and share the love with people who do want that. And so that's why the Course says anything that we think is lacking is because we are withholding it from ourselves. And that goes across the board. It goes for security, it goes for peace, it goes for money, it goes for friends. No one's withholding anything from us. We are doing that to ourselves because we are listening to the voice of fear. So, this goes pretty deep within most of us. And sometimes the way we interpret things is not the way that they are meant to be as the Course teaches them. But we are all each given, as the Course teaches us, we're each given an individualized agenda and curriculum that's designed for our own growth. So don't ever think that things are happening by accident. They are not. They are happening by divine design. And so embrace them. But remember, you always have those two voices. You can either listen to the voice of fear, which will keep you in the battlefield, or you can listen to the voice, which will help you to either hover or to invite the person to come off the battlefield and join you in the place of love, or to be able to walk away with the feeling of love. You honor the person, you love them, you bless them, you set them free. And so that doesn't mean forever, it just means for now, because you have the choice. You can either continue to be hit by lightning, or you can request that the umbrella go up under the agreement that this is a peace and we're going to come from love. Or you can say, for now, I don't want to do this. It's not feeling like love. It's feeling like an attack, and I don't want to participate in this. And ask for what you want. I do want to participate with you. I do want to have this relationship. I do want to resolve this conflict, but we need to come at the place that we want to put it to rest. And we do want to come from the place of love. So just remember, when you are going about your life, that you are all spiritual leaders. If you're watching this, if you're in the classroom or whatever, you are teachers, if you are students. And so it's guaranteed you will have antagonists in your life. They are there. They are worthy warriors to challenge you, to keep you growing, to keep you elevating. Because if things were so simple and now I've got it, we wouldn't keep going deeper into our Holy Spirit. We wouldn't keep growing. We wouldn't keep expanding. And so that is the objective, that those antagonists are there to hit on the parts of us that haven't healed, so that we can continue to remove the barriers to love's awareness. And when you get to the point that there are no more barriers, the only attraction to you will be to be the love that you are, and to attract only love. So that concludes the talk for tonight. And we're going to open it up now for discussion. Remember to turn on your mic if you have something to say.
Okay, it's not a Kentucky blue blouse. It's whatever you all want it to be. Just a beautiful blouse.
That was beautiful, Donna. And speaking about the real stuff of life. I was speaking to a colleague of mine today. She's a therapist, and she's only recently started A Course in Miracles, but she's a certified spiritual life coach, and she's in her 60s. And we were doing an exercise together, and she had an aha moment of of something that she's been thinking about and judging. And she said, I can't believe after all this study and work that I've done that I can still, fall prey to the temptations of the ego. And we just laughed because it doesn't end. It's like, when do I graduate?
Right.
Yeah, but I will
Never.
say that it never. When I become an enlightened being and just disappear into the atmosphere, which doesn't seem to be anytime soon. I will say, although I spend many moments disturbed in my life, I spend many more moments in joy and peace than I ever have. And that trend, that growth trend is continuing in the right direction. And it's because of a devotion to learning and growing and forgiving and loving. Sounds like a good title for a book, doesn't it? It really is. It's an amazing process to bring us out of such needless suffering through misunderstandings and defenses, and so I'm grateful.
Thank you, Barbie. Yeah, when are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Right.
Probably as long as you're here, you're not there.
Right. Yeah. Heard that.
Do any of you have antagonists in your life? People that poke their finger in your most vulnerable places?
That change in perception, this shift in attitude about such things, I just realized sort of converts antagonists into different kinds of things and beings. Not so antagonizing anymore.
Okay, well, we got a quiet group tonight, so we'll just end early. It's fine. I hope you all have a beautiful week. And next week we'll be reading.
Wait. Donna, I love what you said. I mean, it helps me. It's not like I haven't heard you say that before, but I need to hear it because I forget how easy it is to react to your ego. I can say that I have been listening to fear for the last 24 hours for sure. And I know it. And it's not being caused by any human being doing that. It's my own anticipation. I'm trying to stay in the moment, but I am so excited to get back to Florida to see my puppy that I can't stay in the moment. Everything is going so well here. Everything looks good. We did so many changes this year, and the weather is nice now. And all I could think of is it the 25th yet? because I'm going, I'm going home to something wonderful. But I could mess that up too, because now I'm thinking my ego is telling me, but what happens if you're on the plane, you get COVID and you can't pick up your puppy? Oh my God, I say, you're right. And the fear is just working at me. I try to stay in the present, and sometimes I do very well, even if I know I want to get home to Florida. But I still have that ego putting fear into anything that can go wrong, where I won't get my puppy in time for its second shot. And that's crazy because it's just crazy because no matter what I do, it's going to be what it is. I know that. And I'm working at it. I really am. I'm meditating. I'm sitting outside and looking at all the beauty, because there is so much beauty outside. But I'm having problems with my ego getting to me. And I know it's my ego. And so that does help, because then, but I have to work at it. And I have to realize that no matter what happens, it's going to happen. And it's probably not going to happen. The odds are it's not going to happen. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. And then if you're talking about the other thing, that, the negativity in my relationship with my husband, I realize now that there's so much positivity there too. And I really need to focus on that. But I do need to be able to say, and I'm glad that you spoke like this today, because he's bringing up, oh, well, are you picking up the rug? No, this and that. And I want to say to him, hey, I'm taking responsibility for this, since I'm not responsible. And I know I am. I am so responsible. I've never been more responsible in my life. How dare you say that? And I'm going to say next time he says that is, hey, where am I not responsible in anything? And it's true. I am very responsible. I'm the most responsible I've ever been. So, yeah, I'm glad you spoke.
And then what? And you're not going to rob yourself of that.
No. I know that I'm in a better place than I've ever been in my life, even when I let the ego get to me, because I know I'm doing that. My awareness is amazing, and I know that. But I can also allow somebody to get at those spots that I have not healed, like my mistakes I've made, and I have to deal with that, and I'm doing well. I just, I thank you so much, Donna. It's because of you that I'm doing well, and I think about what you would do. Yeah. And next time maybe I'll tell my headphone story about losing my headphones. I think about your story. It just works so well.
You can tell us now. We have time.
All right.
5 more minutes.
So I went to get my nails done, and I wore my headphones there, and they're Bluetooth, so I have them in my ears. And then I leave. My nails are done. Everything's perfect, and I can't find my headphones. And I know I took them there, just like the shoes were in your trunk of your car. And it took me, and then I've gone 2 or 3 times since, and I always ask, are you sure you didn't see my headphones? My ear thing. And she says, no. And I'm thinking, should I go back there? I shouldn't go back there, because where else could they be? They're lying. And then the other night, when I opened a place that I always put my headphones in, but for some reason I never saw them, there they were. And I thought of you and your story. And so I didn't feel bad that I did the human thing and blamed, because it happens to the best. If it happens to you, it happens to the best.
Told you that they stole them or something like that, right?
Yeah. Well, where else?
They just weren't telling you. Yeah.
Where else could they be? Like, where else could your shoes be?
Right.
Yeah. that story. So thank you for that story. It helps me a lot.
Yeah, we can be so convinced of something.
Yeah.
And the ego will then convince us that it's true when it's not, and
Mhm.
create a whole story around it.
Right, I did a whole story, right. Where should I go to have my nails done now and all this stuff. I like them so
Steve.
much. The whole thing. It just,
Right.
but I never gave up because of your story. I never really gave up. I still left a little spot open that I'm gonna find them. And I did,
Good. And you did.
and I did. Thank you for
Thank
letting me share.
Thank you, Alan. Yeah, to stay open in those situations. Yeah, for sure. Okay, anybody else before we sign off? Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I love all of you. It's so good to see you. Thank you for
Yeah.
keep coming back. I've written again to the church to find out what's going on in case we ever get to meet in person again, but I still haven't heard anything.
I don't understand. The meeting is meeting at the
Right.
church.
Right, I
You know
heard
that?
that. I heard that.
It's true.
Yeah.
I zoom into the church
Right.
on
Yeah,
Monday.
I know that they've resumed meetings. I'm just waiting to hear about ours.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Bye.
let me know when, if that does happen, I'll drive down.
I know you want to come down. And we're looking forward to that.
Well, I'll wait till everybody gets back in town and it's a little bit cooler here and I can come down and enjoy some of the warmth.
That would be awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys have a wonderful week.
Donna.
Thank you, Donna.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Go Gators.
Go Knowles. Go Cats.
Royal blue. It's royal blue.
It's a beautiful blouse.
It is.